So we can either make time for wellness or you'll be forced to make time for illness. I know this sounds very serious to start our beautiful Friday morning off with, but this is a realization that I've come to, especially over the past few years. A lot of you know that I've been on quite a journey and how I got here. A lot of you don't know my story, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So welcome back to everyone who already is following us. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Dr. Katie Woodley, the natural pet doctor. I'm a holistic veterinarian, and I'm on a mission to make sure that you, as the amazing pet parent that you are, you feel empowered and supported with the tools that you need to help your pets live their longest and most vibrant life. So let's start a little bit with my journey, because it may be very similar to the journey you've come on and why you maybe found me on social media, through newsletters, online. However you found me, I'm really excited you did, because I'm very open and transparent about mistakes I've made, where I've come from, and I don't want people to make the same mistakes that I've made. And so back in 2014, we had a lot of life changes. I went to vet school in New Zealand, which was amazing. I'm originally from Colorado, and met an amazing New Zealander, and we ended up getting married, and I worked there for a couple of years, and we ended up moving back to the States, and huge life shift. My amazing husband was in the Air Force, and so we got out of the Air Force, we moved overseas, we moved to Colorado, very stressful. And here's the thing, his body broke. So 6 months after moving to the States, he developed an autoimmune disease. And we went through the same journey so many pet parents go through, where you go to the doctor, you know something's wrong. You want to see if food matters. He has inflammatory bowel disease. Food matters, especially for a gut health issue. And we were told over and over again that food doesn't matter and you need to be on strong immunosuppressive drugs. We were actually laughed at numerous times. And I remember sitting and feeling defeated in the exam room and knowing that we would never come back to that doctor. Sound familiar? This happens all the time to pet parents. But here's the thing, we do the best we can with the information we have at that time. So we continue to dive in, spend hours researching, and we knew there had to be another path forward. And this is actually what shaped me to become a holistic veterinarian. So I knew there was a better way forward. And as we learned all this information, it's like, oh my gosh, I can be doing so much better for my patients. And I became acupuncture certified, Chinese herbal medicine certified, and I was determined to not tell my clients there's nothing left that you can do. That stays with me today because I know how it felt to be on the other side of the table, hearing your doctor laugh at you, hearing them make you lose all hope when you're like, there's gotta be something, and you're told there's nothing more. And you know something's wrong, or you're told you're crazy. And this is a huge problem. And we all share such similar journeys when we start finding this holistic path. And then when we find it, we realize like, wow, there's so much we can do to support optimal health where we don't have to turn to drugs, conventional medicine. Now there's a time and a place, which is really important for it to be integrated in. But here's the thing, I started making those changes with my own pets and started doing acupuncture on Finn, my German Shepherd, who we lost, 2 years. It still seems so fresh to us. And, it's one of those things like the tears don't go away, so it's fresh and it brings back where we came from. And I know so many pet parents like, let the tears fly, right? Let them roll, feel the emotions. But here's the thing, you're not alone. And I remember, so through this journey, trying to find help and support for my husband and trying to find a doctor to partner with. And there were some that, we could partner with and they would do more than, his first original doctor, which was great, but you still felt stuck. You knew there had to be more. And fast forward a few years, we move up to Fort Collins, Colorado, where we're currently at. And two of my cats back to back within a year develop aggressive GI lymphoma. This is where I realized the power of how important environmental health is, the toxin levels, pesticides, herbicides, the spray, and we can't always control all that. And I started learning like, wow, we can detox the body though. We can wipe them down. We can rub their, brush off their paws, put booties on them. If you're in an area like that where you can't control what neighbors are doing. And the thing is I know that even though my cats taught me lessons and Finn's taught me lessons, even though Finn still developed cancer, I know I would have lost him a lot sooner if I hadn't been on this journey, gaining the tools, gaining the knowledge to be able to ask better questions and do better for him. And so when Finn started having seizures after he's on a homemade diet, fresh food, he's on herbs and supplements, he's getting acupuncture. And around the time that he developed these issues, it was stressful. I was in a stressful, toxic vet clinic job that was awful. I was crying all the time. Like I said, I'm really transparent because so many people are going through a similar situation, especially with the way the world is right now. And I want to reiterate, you're not alone. And so the emotional health side is so powerful and so important. And I wasn't recognizing that. So what do our pets do? They absorb our emotions. They're like, Mom, it's okay. I'll take that on for you. I will help you with that. And they take it on. And if we don't allow them the space to release those emotions, we know things can stagnate. It can build up. It can affect gut health. We know that stress can directly lead to things like leaky gut. And so we have all of these factors, and I talk a lot about the 5 pillars of health. And this is where we can see it all come together and create the perfect storm. And why it's so important to recognize each pillar for what it is and assess it and say, where can I do better? And through this journey, we're constantly learning, we're constantly growing. We know we can do better. And with Finn, this is where it was truly tested. So he's having seizures. We did a CT scan. We diagnosed a brain tumor. We put him, once again, not against conventional meds. There's a time and a place. And when animals are having what we call cluster seizures, where they're having more than one seizure too close together, it can actually trigger activity in the brain to make them more likely to have more seizures. So we have to stop the seizures, or else it can be really, really hard to control them. And so we put him on anti-seizure medications. We put him on steroids because the CT scan showed significant brain swelling. The neurologist actually didn't understand how he did so well through his procedure, his anesthesia, and how he recovered so quickly. He's bouncing around and like right after, normal Finn asking for pats and going up to everyone. And she was like, I don't know how he did that. And I was like, because we strengthened his body to a certain point with what we were doing. But here's the thing. He stopped eating. He started vomiting. He had diarrhea. He couldn't stand. So he had pretty much every side effect that can come from steroids and from seizure medications. And so now we're like, what do we do? So talking to the neurologist, she said, well, unfortunately, we decided not to do radiation because the tumor was right by his optic nerves and it would most likely make him go blind. Operating on his brain is very intense, right? And I didn't want to have him go through that recovery to gain a small amount of time. So weighing up the risk benefit ratio, Money was not an issue because we had pet insurance. That's what made it really hard, is I wanted to do more for him to get rid of it. However, we couldn't. The thing is that then we were told, well, you know, what I would do is I would take him off of those drugs and I would love on him. And most likely you'll be back within a week to put him down. And here's where the difference was. From the first time my husband was diagnosed to when Finn was diagnosed, I knew better. I knew there was a path forward. I knew there was hope because I had been seeing it with my patients, integrating in Chinese herbal medicine, food therapy, acupuncture. And I get emotional because you feel hopeless, right? But I said, thank you so much for your help. I got it from here. And what we did is we tweaked, we adjusted, we changed his herbs. I adjusted his acupuncture protocol. We adjusted the food therapy we were using. And rather than just getting 1 week, knowing the end was near, we gained an entire year of good quality of life with more experiences, more time. I had no idea how much time we would gain, but every single minute I cherished. Every single minute. Every break from work was spent with him. I knew my time was limited. And here's the thing, that is the power of being able to integrate holistic medicine. So if you're just starting on this journey, welcome. I'm so excited you are here. If you've been on this path, if you've been on this journey, if you've been following me from the very start, or you've been following so many of the other amazing holistic practitioners that are out there, you know there's more. There's always more that we can try, that we can do. And maybe my tools in the toolbox, we'd need something else. And that's the power of it. We have so many alternative modalities that we can tap into, that so many practitioners, from homeopathy to Chinese herbal medicine, to energy medicine, to Western herbs, to acupuncture, to laser therapy, to all food therapy, to all sorts of modalities. So if you're being told there's nothing else you can do, you just have to keep looking, and you have to keep searching. And fortunately, you're in the right area. Now, here's the other thing too. When you're on this journey, I hear a lot of times, I don't have time. I don't have time to do that. I'm too busy. I can't do this. And I go back to that quote. You can either make time for wellness now, or you'll be forced to make time for illness. We live this every day with my husband. He's doing great, but he still has an autoimmune disease that still limits certain aspects of his life. And we're going to some doctors at the end of this month, which I'm so excited about, just to get more tools, more diagnostics, go to people that treat IBD and say it's easy to treat, and get that information, because we don't want to live the rest of our lives being limited. Life is too beautiful. There's too many things to explore and to do than to be limited. The other thing with this too is that once you find a holistic community, once you start realizing that there's more, the research that you do is so important. When you're laughed at by veterinarians for looking at Dr. Google, here's why this is important. So recently, one of my family members, who I love very dearly, would have died. And I don't say that lightly. We've gone through a weekend Finn passed 2 years ago. There are 2 other family members who almost died too that weekend. And I always say Finn gave up his life and his energy to save them. And so 2 years later, almost to the date, one of them goes through a similar health issue. So here's the thing. I'm very blessed that I have My mom's a nurse practitioner, my brother's a radiation oncologist, my sister's a neurosurgeon, my sister-in-law's a neurosurgeon. Like, I'm surrounded by a wealth of health information, which is so important because I've been through the journey with my husband and I've had to ask for certain tests that also saved his life that were not offered. In this past week, if my mother had not known the information she had, I may not have my father here. And being that advocate and being able to ask those questions and being able to say, no, you are doing this test can save your life, can save your pet's life. And you don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a nurse practitioner. I have so many clients that have more knowledge than probably a lot of veterinarians. And I'm not dissing our profession, but they spend hours and hours and hours researching. There's a lot of information there. Dive into PubMed, dive into the research, because I have people that come to me and say, I found this. And if I'm like, I don't know what that is, I love that you found that. Please share the article with me because I want to learn about that. And I also want to like dive in deeper and see like, can we use this? Or is this something like, okay, that was awesome, but let's try this approach instead. And this is why right now in the crazy town times world that we live in, we have to be better advocates for our health. And you also have to take the time for the wellness. We need to focus better on physical health. We need to focus better on what we're eating. What is going into your body? What is going into your pet's bodies? Is it nourishing it? Or is it creating inflammation? And maybe it's not causing problems right now, but down the road, bam, disease. It happens. It's happened to me multiple times in my family with my pets. They were fine, not fine. And it's a lot harder to reverse disease. It's a lot more expensive. It's a lot more stressful. And sometimes it's just the brain tumor. You're just doing the best you can with what you have. And so this is why it's so important. And continue to do the work, continue to show up, continue to ask those questions, because too many lives are lost to medical malpractice. My father's health stuff recently could have been avoided by a test 2 years ago, and the doctor said that's not necessary. And thank goodness I get my from my mother, because she's like, no, this time you are doing these dang tests. And I'm like, yes, that's why when you have the support, when you know what to ask, when you have the background research, when you know there's a better path, you feel more confident in standing up for yourself. Like, who here's ever felt like you feed a raw food diet and you see a conventional vet? And I work with a lot of conventional vets who are fantastic. They practice amazing medicine, but they may not be open to a raw food diet. And you're like terrified to go to your annual vet visit, and you delay it and you delay it because you know you're going to get a lecture on how it's killing your pet. It's going to kill you. It's bad. It's not helpful. There's no research behind it. If you have a vet like that, for your next appointment, gift them Dr. Connor Brady's Feeding Dogs book. So important, so powerful, lots of research in it. And just say, like, I hope you read this. Like, it's changed my life. And it's also given me the support and guidance I needed in order to make sure my diet's properly balanced. It's safe for us. It's safe for our pets. And here's a lot of research that you might want to dive into just to like broaden your approach, because it's worked. This diet has worked so well for my pet. And having a more open conversation can help. Still uncomfortable, right? Like we don't like conflict, things like that. Of course, I don't like conflict either. Now, for your kitties, that's a great question. For your kitties, I would look at Dr. Jean Hoff, Hofve. think What to Feed Cats is a really good book. And it talks about the pet food industry. You could also give them the resource catinfo.org it's a great resource for veterinarians by Dr. Lisa Pearson. So there's a lot of great information on both sides. What to Feed Your Cats by Dr. Jean Hofve is the book for your kitties. I definitely recommend checking out. And all we can do, if someone's not open to something, all we can do is start planting seeds. And that's how I look at it. My job is not to transform you. I can't transform everyone, even though I'd love to, because an integrative approach, holistic medicine, has changed my family's lives. It's changed my pets' lives. And I see it impacting my patients' lives every single day for the past years. And this is really, really important. And the thing is, you do not have to make them change, but you can plant a seed. And it's like sales, right? They say like it takes 7 times for someone to hear something or you to talk to them before you get a sale, right? Like salespeople always say that. And it's true with new information, especially with the way the world is. There's very it's divisive and people don't want to hear something that's different than their viewpoint. But all you can do is just plant those seeds and show them by how healthy your pets are. So do the things now so you're not forced to do them later. So if you feel like you don't have time, this is where I recommend starting with the small things. The small things add up to big changes over time. So if you are feeding a processed food diet, start adding in some fresh food. Add in toppers. If you have kitties, add a sardine, add an egg, add in some fresh food. Also, if you're feeding kibble, make sure we're supporting gut health, using things like probiotics, using things like digestive enzymes. We had a long talk about digestive enzymes in our program that we have, the Healthy Holistic Pet for Life Blueprint, this past week during our Q&As we do each week. And we were talking about digestive enzymes and how different digestive enzymes do different things, right? We have amylase to help break down your carbohydrates and starches. We have your proteases to help break down proteins. And so depending on what you're feeding your pet, you may need to supplement with different types of digestive enzymes. So if you're feeding a kibble diet, high carb diet, lots of starches, we want to make sure that we're using a lot of these plant-based enzymes, break down starches, cellulose, things like that, because our dogs, and especially cats, aren't well adapted to those types of diets. Dogs a little bit more so. They're facultative carnivores. They have evolved a little bit to be able to digest a little bit, but cats definitely not. So definitely take a look at these things and learn more, but that's one easy step that you can do. Doesn't have to be a massive overhaul, right? If you can, fantastic. Will make a huge difference transitioning your pets over to a less processed diet, more fresh food. There's a lot of amazing companies that are out there that are making balanced diets that you can start switching your pets over to. So if you don't have time, doesn't mean that you have to go down the whole path of cooking for them. You can use a lot of these great companies that are out there. So definitely check that out. Another shout out, I think Dr. Judy Morgan just joined, but I love her content. Make sure you're following her. And also check out her recipes. She just recently did recipes for balancing 80-10-10 blends. So Viva Raw is a great option. And she did a webinar or a video with them showing you what to add. So many free resources. It's so, so amazing. So start with looking at the food, look at gut health. Then what we can do is we can look at the environment. Are there things that we can throw away in terms of cleaning products? So when you're using something, just take a look at the back of it and read the ingredient list and look at the label. We need to look at labels. We need to look at ingredient lists. We need to know what we're potentially being exposed to, and also this goes alongside food and supplements, because you may think that you're feeding or you're giving a good supplement, and all of a sudden you look at it and you're like, there's titanium dioxide in this. That's white paint. That's not good. That's a carcinogen. So it can be shocking. And sometimes formulas change. I've been shocked where sometimes I'll pick something up. I'm like, wow, That's changed. Not using that anymore or recommending that. So make sure we're looking at ingredients and labels. And so especially cleaning products, what are you using? And this is where you don't have to do a massive overhaul. This is where, okay, I'm going to use this up, and then next time I'm going to buy a greener product. And the Environmental Working Group, so ewg.org, is a great resource that you can go to, and you can find like clean and safer cleaning products. You can look up ingredients. They have an entire database, which is really great. So definitely look at that and start changing out things. You know, everything you touch, like when you're like, oh, I'm folding laundry. What's in my laundry detergent? Do I use those dryer sheets that are, you know, it smells really, really good? That's a problem, right? So start shifting, start adjusting, use the wool dryer balls. You know, I put a little bit of essential oil on those, and it's a cleaner way to help my clothes smell nice. And I don't have all the chemicals, and I don't have the fragrances that we're breathing in, that our pets are breathing in. Think about what's outside. We can't control everyone, right? Unfortunately, I have numerous neighbors. They just sprayed their lawn. They have children and dogs that are rolling all over the grass. And I'm like, I see those yellow flags. So think about your own yard, your own ecosystem that you can control, but be aware of what else is happening. This is where I fell short with Finn and our 2 cats. We were constantly being sprayed at where we lived, our townhouse, constantly sprayed outside. Never knew when they were going to spray. We never got notices. They're spraying the trees. They're spraying everything. I love gardening. I had like little container garden out. Like, oh my God, what was I eating? You know, I'm eating glyphosate, herbicides, pesticides. And so this is where, when we see what's around us and we start recognizing like, those yellow flags, what are they spraying? How often do they do this? Oh, they spray insecticides like in the air over certain areas of Fort Collins every summer for mosquitoes. They're pretty much fogging the area. That stuff doesn't just stay in that area, it drifts. And so if we know that, okay, when are they doing that? Okay, I need to better support my detox pathways. So one really simple one that will help, that's also really cheap because you can use human products. Just make sure there's no like xylitol ingredient list. Remember, make sure there's nothing bad in that ingredient list that can harm your pets, is milk thistle or silymarin. And that helps support the liver. And I saw someone ask a question like, well, what about, why are we seeing so many liver issues? The toxins we're using, the toxins that are going into our pets. So this is where flea and tick products, I tell you, like, we got a phone call yesterday from a non-client, and this happens all the time. They gave their 10-month-old golden retriever puppy its first dose of Simparica, started having seizures immediately. Now it's at the ER and she doesn't know what to do. Don't let that be your pet. That stuff is so toxic. Once again, check out Dr. Judy Morgan's blog post on that. And she has resources on what to do if that happens, how to detox your pets. But we have to realize the things we're using, they're chemicals. Those drugs are strong. They're insecticides. They affect the neurological system. It's not just affecting the neurological system of insects, it's affecting the neurological system of our pets. It should not be FDA approved. Hopefully it'll be banned at some point. So if you've ever had a pet have an issue, make sure you're reporting it. It's the thing that we can do. But we have to be aware of what we're putting into our pet's body. That is why environmental health is so important. That's why I consider it a pillar of health. And we can't control everything, but we can control a lot. And then we can also detox our pets and support them and do things to to help limit and reduce the amount of toxins going into them. The other area too that I want you to start assessing is the emotional health aspect. Checking in with yourself once a day. How am I feeling? Why am I feeling that way? What's triggering me? Because once again, our pets are watching us. They're absorbing the things that we're not processing. And I think that's a big reason why we see so many health issues, especially over the past 2 years, that are really hard to treat. I was talking to my good friend, Dr. Odette Suter. I want to shout her out. She's doing amazing stuff in the world. I know a lot of you follow her and support her. She's an amazing holistic veterinarian. Highly recommend following her stuff also. She's a mentor, but also a good friend. Very blessed to have her in my life. And we were talking about, like, why are we seeing so many health issues that are just like awful and they're getting harder to treat? Because she's seeing it too. I know probably other holistic vets are seeing it also. And a lot of it, when we look at what happened over the past 2 years, oh my gosh, there was a lot of stress, a lot of overwhelm, change in the world, change in the energy, change in the frequency, right? Emotions, health, like we're all energetic beings and we're vibrating at different frequencies. Like whether you think that's woo-woo or not, that's a reality. And if we're not processing our emotions right, or well, or we're just stuffing them away, we're burying them and we're letting them pile up. And one of the ways I know that I'm doing that, because I'm human, right? We've all done this probably, is I find if there's like one little thing and then you're like, why am I crying over this? Or why am I getting upset? And you're like, my cup's too full. We need to pour out the water out of the cup a little bit and allow more space. And this means sometimes saying no to stuff, checking in, journaling, doing yoga, doing meditation. Yeah, I'm not talking about pet stuff, but this will directly affect your pet's health. I promise you. I don't know who else here has, so your pets, like if you do meditation, I don't know if you can relate, but you're sitting there and sometimes I've got to like close the door because the cats are like all over you, but it's because the energy shift, right? You're calm, like you're vibrating at a higher frequency. And cats are so energetic. And they're just like all over. And they're like, my Kiwi cat's like, she runs to me and is like, Mom's meditating. I'm like, Kiwi, I love you. But like, so they know that. But also too, assessing our pets' energy also. How is their emotional health doing? Are we doing things to support them? Are we enriching the environment? Are we playing with our dogs and cats enough? Are we stimulating them? Are we getting the energy out? This comes into like physical health. So all these things are so important. Dogs are really good at like when you cry or you're upset, they want to comfort you. Cats run the other way. So that's what I love about the difference between dogs and cats. Some cats will come and comfort you, but a lot of them are like, ooh, that energy I don't like, they run away. Whereas dogs will come and be like, Mom, it's okay. Dad, it's okay. The kids are upset. The dog's like they're all over them. And those all play a part. They affect gut health, they affect immune health. And when we start looking at all these areas, this is something that I recommend doing now before disease hits, before illness happens. Because even if there is a process occurring in the body, usually we're all on this spectrum of inflammation where we have optimal health down here and we have like cancer, autoimmune diseases, named diseases where we diagnose a disease over here. We're all fluctuating on the spectrum. And once we start recognizing that, hey, oh, I'm tired, yeah, I've been noticing like I have some inflammation, like, I'm reacting more to things that I never did, like certain foods or things like, or your pet, like, oh, they're really gassy, something changed, or their stool's a bit softer, That way you can tweak and adjust things before it becomes a named disease that's a lot harder to reverse, more time consuming, more stressful, more expensive, shortens their lives. So make sure you're looking at those pillars. Once again, look at the physical health component, the gut health, nutrition side, the immune health, the emotional health, and also environmental health. If you need help and guidance and you just want to like dive in deep and get support and join an amazing community, definitely check out our Healthy Holistic Pet for Life Blueprint program. It's a lifetime program. We do weekly Q&As to guide you, but you also have all this information laid out for you to guide you so that it makes the process of research so much easier and it tells you what to start with. So definitely check that out. If you can't find the link to learn more about it and schedule a call, you can always send me a direct message or send us an email at info@thenaturalpetdoctor.com. But the reason why I created that program is because of my journey, because other people don't need to go through the journey that I've been through. It can be easier. The path forward doesn't have to be hard, especially when you have the tools and the guidance to know where to start and what to do. That's the difference. That's the game changer. That's how we get our dogs and our cats to 20, 30 years old. Less disease, less illness, less vet visits, less expense, more happy memories, more precious time with them. Because even if our pets are living to 20 or 30 years, it's still not enough time. I know that. Miss Finn. And I wish I had started this journey at 8-week-old Finn, but I did the best with the tools and knowledge I had at that time. And I gained more time with him because of the tools I gained. So even if you're feeling frustrated or your pet has a disease, there's so much you can do for them to help them feel great, not know they have that disease, and gain extra time with them. So important. So I know today was a little bit different, talking a little bit more, honoring Finn's memory. Here's a crazy thing also. When we recognize the universe is giving us things, right? Signs. I didn't even realize it until yesterday. I was driving to a house call. I haven't seen this amazing client in probably like, it's almost 6 months. And they're on the backside of, there's an amazing reservoir in this town, Horsetooth Reservoir, beautiful. So beautiful, very popular. A lot of people come here to go specifically to Horsetooth Reservoir. And the day that Finn died, we went up there and had like a toast to him and honored him. And it was March 31st. It could have been snowing. It was literally 60 degrees. The sun was shining and there was no wind, which is weird for around here. The water was flat, like a mirror that day. We took a picture, of course, because I was like, I want to remember this. So yesterday I had a house call on the other side of Horsetooth, and it was kind of like choppy. There was a wind and it was kind of gloomy and gray, the wind, right? I'm driving through it and I was just, it's always so beautiful up there. And I was driving back and it was calm and it was glassy and the sun was shining. Whew. And I was like, oh, damn, Finn's here. Finn's here. Finn's here. Finn's part of the mission. Finn's always here. And sorry guys. But it was a reminder. It's a reminder of the journey. And we get those animals, dogs, cats, that are those soul animals. Sometimes we have to go through the hard stuff to really realize the beauty on the other side. And they stay there. They stay there forever. And they're with us forever to remind us to continue to show up, do sometimes the hard thing, take care of yourself, take care of your pets, make those adjustments, make those small tweaks. Remember, those small things add up. It doesn't have to be a massive overhaul. And so I just wanted to give everyone that reminder today. On this beautiful Friday morning, it's spring, that you're not alone. There is hope, and there are things that you can do to help your pets. And as always, I appreciate every single one of you. You are all amazing. I appreciate you. I appreciate your support on this journey. Not always an easy journey, being on like this side of medicine, but it's worth it. So thank you so much, everyone. I'm Dr. Katie Woodley, the natural pet doctor, and I will see you all again next Friday for our weekly coffee talk with the doc. All right, take care, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. Hey, pet parents, it's Dr. Katie, the natural pet doctor. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, can you do me 2 simple favors? Number 1, share it with someone else. And number 2, subscribe to this channel by clicking down below so you continue to get updates every time I release new videos to help your pet thrive. Also, if you are wondering how you can help your pet achieve optimal health with the guidance and support of a holistic vet, an amazing community, make sure to schedule a call at the link below to learn more about our lifetime healthy, holistic pet for life blueprint program. Look forward to seeing you on the next video. Until then, remember, you are not alone in helping your pet thrive naturally and live their best, most vibrant life. Take care.